Ilhan Omar is struggling to defend this.
Fox News asked her, do you regret pushing for that bill, the Meals Act? Absolutely not. It did help feed kids.
As more details emerged about the massive fraud uncovered in Minnesota, questions are growing around Ilhan and Tim Walz, and even local mayors across the state are starting to push back.
I'm not a Democrat, I'm not a Republican, I'm a Minnesotan, and I'm frustrated with how it had happened.
And today, we're covering it all. So if you believe truth isn't partisan, hit the subscribe button and let's jump right into it.
This is what Ilhan Omar said, defending the program that she introduced in the House that led to all of these billions being stolen. Yeah, it's a quote. She's telling Fox Digital. So this is the 2020 Meals Act. Ilhan Omar, Tescley, Fox News asked her, do you regret pushing for that bill, the Meals Act? Do you think it led to the fraud? Ilhan Omar, absolutely not. It did help feed kids. Okay, you see those, how it started, how it ended. Let's do how this started, what the funds were meant for feeding children, for helping recovering addicts find a place to live, helping disabled adults live independently, one-on-one therapy for autistic children.
That was the promise.
That was the idea. Now, here's where the funds allegedly went. You see that on the right side of the screen. Wire transfers to China and East Africa, a villa in the Maldives, first-class plane tickets, luxury vehicles, lakefront property in Minnesota, designer jewelry, and crypto. And that's just among the things we know.
Now, for some context, the Meals Act was indeed introduced by Ilhan in March 2020. However, it didn't even get to the debate stage and ultimately didn't pass. What happened instead was quieter. The USDA moved forward with much of what the bill proposed by expanding flexibilities and issuing waivers through multiple existing programs, which led to a ballooning in spending. The funding didn't come out of thin air either, as it was pulled from multiple pandemic relief packages, meaning taxpayers covered the cost. According to a recent report by the Congressional Research Service, just for 2022 and 2023, quote, program operations received enhanced funding of $3 billion. On top of that, between 2021 and 2024, USDA distributed approximately $3.7 billion in supply chain assistance funds to states and school food authorities. Now that we have that facts out of the way, let's hear how Tim Walz is reacting to this.
Ilhan Omar, and to a lesser degree, even Governor Walz, is not owning up to the fact that this was so grotesquely exploited that now the House Oversight Committee under Chairman James Comer is subpoenaing documents and may even drag people like Governor Walz up to Capitol Hill to say, did any of this money that was being sent back, forget the gifts and the luxury cars, did any of this money go back to terrorist organizations? And that's what we're going to find out.
Well, and there's other questions. People want to know, did the money go overseas, get laundered, and come back? Right. There's lots of questions, and so they should keep digging and digging and digging. Governor Tim Walz was asked about it, and here was his response.
Would I have wanted to stop this? Would I have gone out? If you think the governor goes out and checks somebody on Medicaid and that they were there, no, but that's somebody in government needed to do that. And if they didn't do that, or if there were loopholes in this, and what we found is these are poorly written and it left openings and the goal was to get the money out. We'll fix that. But yeah, I'll take accountability for it. But what you're seeing here is you're seeing a weaponization. We'll continue to fix it. They're going to continue to come up with numbers that don't have it there, and it's sensationalized. I don't expect anything different from this administration.
That response is hard to take seriously, especially since outlets like CBS are reporting on it. But for the sake of it, let's just say the numbers are indeed inflated. Would fraud in the tune of $1 billion be acceptable to Tim Walz? Simply put, downplaying this issue is whitewashing it to say the least. And if you look at the New York Times piece on this story, they explicitly wrote, quote, red flags in the meals program surfaced in the early months of the pandemic, but the money kept flowing. With one lawyer summoning it up best, saying, it's like someone was stealing money from the cookie jar and they kept refilling it. Even mayors across Minnesota have had enough with Tim's shenanigans, and they sent him a letter urging him to get to the bottom of this. But before we play that take, a quick reminder. Our merch store is live, and if you're looking for comfy clothing with awesome designs, we offer an amazing collection. Plus, every purchase helps us continue bringing you stories the media tries to bury. So make sure to check it out through the link in the description. Now, back to the video.
We were originally told that this massive Minnesota fraud scandal was to the tune of $1 billion. And that's a shocking figure. But now federal authorities are saying that could be just the tip of the iceberg. And this could have ballooned to $9 billion in stolen taxpayer money. So a group of just about 100 mayors across the state of Minnesota wrote Governor Walz a letter just railing against what's taking place. And
Brian, you spoke with two of the mayors that penned that letter, and here's what they had to say.
I have championed and spearheaded this letter, and we have over 100 mayors now that are on this letter. Within the last 3 months, this has really gone downhill. And Brian, if we do the quick math, $9 billion in fraud divided by 5.79 million Minnesotans comes out to roughly be $1,500 a person that each Minnesotan, each hardworking Minnesotan has had stolen from them from the Walz administration and the policies coming out of St. Paul.
I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm a Minnesotan, and I'm frustrated with how it had happened, as well as the communication that's happened. So, really, our mayors are joining together not to point fingers and blame, but we're here to help solve the problem. That's what we do.
See, I liked how the first mayor tried to put the scale of the fraud into perspective. But to be clear, these fraudulent activities were related to federally funded programs. So it's everyone's taxpayer money, not just Minnesotans. As for the second mayor, pointing fingers matters here. Fraud at this level doesn't happen unless the system allows it. Accountability is part of the story, especially when you consider the Minnesota Department of Education suspended the payments to Feeding Our Future. But the group filed a civil lawsuit claiming, quote, federal regulations and laws prohibiting race discrimination were being violated. And since the judge delayed issuing an order, state officials were trying to avoid being labeled racist, which is why they reached an agreement with the fraudsters, quote, to handle these federally regulated site applications reasonably promptly, leading to continuation of payments. Fox's host expanded on this exact point, and they made some very solid arguments.
Congresswoman Mariannette Miller-Meeks, she introduced the Walz Act yesterday, and that stands for Welfare Abuse and Laundering Zillions Act, which would require inspector generals to open investigations into any program that sees a 10% increase or greater in total payments within a 6-month period. And something like that really would solve the problem, because there were a lot of state organizations that were raising red flags and saying, how could we possibly be getting this many requests for more money into these programs? And what happened is these fraudulent programs were going, well, if you raise any red flags or don't give us this money, we're going to accuse you of racism. And then the state agencies back down out of fear of being accused of racism, even though they were seeing these numbers and saying, this doesn't make sense.
So passing new laws to prevent this kind of abuse in the future is good. But what matters most is accountability. The people involved, along with state officials who enabled it, should be held responsible. That includes Ilhan Omar, whose husband's venture capital firm went from being valued at just $1,000 to around $30 million in just 2 years. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on this story. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and remember, keep thinking.